Have you ever walked away from a conversation, feeling like something wasn't right? Not angry, not even upset, just confused. Maybe you started questioning yourself. Maybe you apologized without knowing exactly why. If that feeling sounds familiar, you're not alone. The truth is, manipulation rarely looks obvious. It doesn't always come with yelling, threats, or controlling behavior. Sometimes it's so subtle that you don't realize it's happening until you've started doubting your own thoughts. And that's what makes it so dangerous. In this video, we're going to explore 7 psychological warning signs that someone may be manipulating you without you even realizing it. Some of these signs are obvious. Others hide inside completely normal conversations. Stay until the end, because the final sign is one of the most powerful and one of the easiest to miss. Let's get started. Imagine this. You tell someone that something they said hurt your feelings. Instead of listening, they smile and they say, "You're overreacting. I never said that. You're imagining things." Suddenly, the conversation isn't about what they did. It's about whether your feelings can be trusted. This pattern is commonly known as gaslighting. When it happens once, it may simply be a misunderstanding. But when it happens over and over again, it can slowly chip away at your confidence. You stop trusting your memory. You replay conversations in your head. You begin asking yourself, maybe I'm the problem. Healthy relationships don't require you to constantly question your own reality. Disagreements happen, different memories happen, but repeatedly making someone doubt their own experience can become a powerful form of psychological control. If you constantly feel the need to defend your emotions, that's a pattern worth paying attention to. Have you ever agreed to something? Not because you wanted to, but because you felt guilty saying no. That's exactly why guilt is such an effective tool. Some people know how to use it extremely well. You'll hear phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, I guess I just don't matter anymore." Or, "I thought you cared." At first, those words sound emotional, maybe even honest. But sometimes, their real purpose isn't to express pain. It's to influence your decision. Because once you feel guilty, you're much more likely to give in. Before blaming yourself, pause for a second. Ask one simple question. Did I actually do something wrong? Or am I just being made to feel that way? That one question can completely change your perspective. Here's something interesting. Pay attention to what happens during disagreements. No matter how the conversation begins, somehow, they always end up being the one who was hurt. Maybe you brought up something that bothered you. Maybe you calmly explained how their behavior affected you. But before long, you're apologizing, and somehow they're the victim. Everyone experiences difficult moments. Everyone feels misunderstood sometimes, but when someone is never responsible, when every conversation somehow circles back to your mistakes, it's worth noticing the pattern. Healthy people can admit when they're wrong. Manipulative people often change the story until they don't have to. And that makes honest communication almost impossible. So far, these signs have one thing in common. They slowly change the way you think. The next sign is different. Instead, it changes the way you feel. And it's one of the most powerful tactics on this list. Not every form of manipulation is loud. Sometimes it's complete silence. Imagine sending a message and getting nothing back. You ask if something is wrong. Still nothing. The warmth disappears. The conversations become cold. You start replaying everything you said. You wonder if you upset them. Eventually, you apologize, not because you know you were wrong, but because you just want things to feel normal again. There's an important difference here. Healthy people sometimes need space. That's normal, but using silence to make someone anxious or to pressure them into giving in is something entirely different. Real communication solves problems. It doesn't use emotional distance as punishment. This next sign is surprisingly subtle. It rarely begins with, "Stop talking to your friends." Instead, it sounds caring. "I don't think they're good for you. They don't really understand you. I'm just worried about you." Sometimes those concerns are genuine, but when someone consistently pushes you away from family, friends, or anyone who offers a different perspective, pay attention. Healthy relationships expand your world. Manipulative ones often make it smaller. Because the fewer people you trust, the easier it becomes for one person's opinion to shape your reality. And most people don't notice it happening until they look around and realize they've become completely alone. The next sign explains something that confuses millions of people. Why do some relationships feel impossible to leave, even when you know they aren't healthy? The answer lies in psychology. One day, they're kind, supportive, funny, everything feels perfect. Then suddenly, everything changes. They're distant, critical, cold. You don't know why, so you try harder. You become more careful. You start changing your own behavior, just hoping they'll become the person they were before. Then, out of nowhere, they're kind again. That small moment of warmth feels incredible. Not because it's extraordinary, but because you've been deprived of it. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's one of the strongest behavioral patterns known. Unpredictable rewards often keep people engaged longer than consistent ones. That's why some unhealthy relationships become so difficult to walk away from. You're no longer enjoying the relationship, you're chasing the next good moment. And those are two very different things. Here's the final sign, and it may be the hardest to recognize. You calmly explain that something hurt you, instead of discussing the issue. They accuse you of attacking them. You set a healthy boundary. They call you selfish. You ask for space. They tell you that you don't care. Notice what happened. The original problem disappeared. Now, you're defending yourself instead. When this happens repeatedly, real conversations become impossible because every discussion turns into a debate about your character instead of their behavior. If every disagreement leaves you feeling guilty, confused, or responsible for everything, step back. Look at the pattern, not just the individual moments. Patterns reveal far more than isolated conversations ever will. None of these signs automatically mean someone is manipulating you. People make mistakes. They misunderstand each other. They communicate poorly. That's part of being human. What matters is consistency. If these behaviors happen again, and again, and again, leaving you constantly questioning yourself, walking on eggshells, or feeling responsible for someone else's emotions, don't ignore those feelings. Awareness is the first step toward protecting yourself, because the moment you recognize manipulation, it begins to lose its power. If you found this video helpful, leave a comment and tell me which sign stood out to you the most. And if you'd like more videos about psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns that shape our everyday lives, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.